From Tyson Fury to Hasim Rahman Jr., many superstars have talked about KSI versus Jake Paul. But this time it's Ryan Garcia who's come up with a prediction of his own. So who's Ryan Garcia backing? Jake Paul. Yes. And not only does Garcia think Paul will win, he believes that Paul will knock KSI out. And the timing of this prediction makes it very unexpected. Why? Because Garcia tweeted in support of Jake Paul during the event at Wembley. Also with the hashtag KSI temper. Weird, isn't it? But KSI won the fight. Quite impressively, I would say. So if you tweet during the event, you should tweet about that specific event. However, Garcia did the opposite. But yeah, a lot of people will agree with Garcia though. Jake Paul's a much better boxer than KSI. He's got some amazing tricks up his sleeve, and beating him is going to be a tough gig for KSI. Maybe Ryan Garcia saw something in that fight. He may have found something that made KSI appear weaker to him. Who knows? But one thing's for certain, Ryan Garcia's supporting Jake Paul. And why shouldn't he? KSI still hasn't proven himself against a tougher opponent. JJ has a record of 5-0-1, including 4 knockouts, which really makes him one of the most talented crossover boxers. But most people think that the real test still awaits KSI. He still hasn't proven himself against a top guy. Paul has defeated the likes of Ben Askren, Tyron Woodley, and Anderson Silva. All of them were sensational MMA fighters. And if you look at the people KSI has defeated, it's nothing compared to Paul's opponents. The only good fighter KSI has beaten is actually Jake Paul's brother, Logan. Apart from him, all the others were fairly normal matchups. Unless something crazy and unthinkable happens, there's only one winner in that fight, and it's Jake Paul. But wait, things aren't over just yet, because Garcia's tweet started a brief Twitter beef after Garcia tweeted in support of Jake. It was highly unlikely that JJ would stay quiet about it. He replied to Garcia's tweet saying, "Tank's gonna knock you out. #facts." Let me just give you a little bit of context. Tank and Garcia are two of the upcoming superstars in the boxing world. They're finally set to face each other in April because their fight has also been talked about for a long time. Same as KSI versus Paul. And after JJ's reply, Garcia said the strangest thing.
They wanted to call me a social media fodder. They wanted to call me a lot of names. Even anybody who tries to put you down and tell you you can't become something, remember, you're not who people tell you are, you're who you choose to be.
He said he's ready to bet on it that KSI will get flatlined by Paul. Plus, he thinks that KSI will never get to fight Paul. But if he does, there's only gonna be one winner. And he's so confident about it that he's willing to bet anything.
I'm gonna record all the negotiations so you guys don't make no headlines saying I'm ducking. If he want it, let's get it.
The ball was in KSI's court, and guess what he said? JJ claimed he thinks that Garcia versus Tank isn't gonna happen. And he could be right about this, because after being announced for April, the fight was again placed into doubt, but this time it was because of contractual issues. Let's see what goes on with this one. And while we're on this topic, there's another fight that has been talked about for a long time, but still doesn't have an official date. KSI versus Logan Paul. These two have taken the same approach as Tank and Garcia, but at least their fight was officially confirmed. But in this case, there's still no official confirmation. There have been numerous heated exchanges between the two on social media, plus a public voice exchange regarding the fight at the end of this year, which Jake Paul happily accepted. So when will the official negotiations begin? When will the contracts be signed? When and where will the fight take place? There are still so many unanswered questions. Sometimes it even feels like those two aren't in the mood to fight. They just want to create the hype. And KSI himself thinks that he isn't ready right now to take on Jake Paul. What? Yeah, in his post-fight interview, KSI mentioned he needs to be tested a bit more in order to reach that level, the level on which he can face Jake Paul and win. He even had some potential opponents in mind before taking on Paul. He said he'd love to take on Tyron Woodley and Joe Cormier. He specifically said, "I need to be tested. I need more tests before I reach that final level." Well, I only hope that he gets all the tests in the world because I'm sick and tired of waiting for Paul versus KSI. I'm sure you guys are too. Just do it already. Everyone wants to see it, and apparently KSI feels the same because he thinks him versus Jake Paul will be a bigger fight than Tank versus Garcia. This man is really out here dropping pipe bomb after pipe bomb, and it doesn't look like he's gonna stop anytime soon. He's come up with another statement that his fight with Paul will be a much bigger event than Tank versus Garcia. The good thing's that even he knows that people will tell him he is wrong about this, but he doesn't care. JJ said his rivalry with Paul has been bubbling for years, and that's absolutely true. When these two will finally step into the ring together, it would be massive. But still, many people in the sport will try to prove KSI wrong, but by now, KSI knows it all. He's smart enough to know that this statement will turn a few heads, but he doesn't care. In fact, he's made it a habit of himself, proving those wrong who always doubt him. People have been doubting him for all of his boxing career, but KSI, on the other hand, he keeps on proving them wrong. His boxing record is proof of that. 0 losses. Yes, he still has a long way to go and a lot to prove, but it's still an amazing start to his career. And he was the one who put YouTube boxing on the map after all. It all started when KSI faced Joe Weller in 2018. Weller was actually a pretty good friend of KSI, but the two suddenly turned into rivals. This year-long beef started with diss tracks and online feuds, but it finally was time to settle that beef like men. Inside a boxing ring, KSI won the fight in the 3rd round via a knockout, and the debate was over. But then he announced a fight against Logan Paul. Now that was the one. This fight actually put YouTube boxing on the map. It gave careers to many YouTubers who wanted to try out boxing. In a packed Manchester arena, the two took on each other. Unfortunately, the match ended in a boring draw, but then a rematch was scheduled. KSI won the rematch via a split decision. He may not have defeated some big names yet, but he has done a lot for YouTube boxing. After defeating Logan Paul, he demanded a match against his younger brother.
Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting, and that's what makes this fight awesome, and it makes it a 50-50 fight, you know, the betting odds came out.
And that's how long the beef has been going on, since 2019. In the end, there's just one thing left. Who do you think will win? If the fight does happen, who are you guys betting on to win? I'd say Jake Paul has a better chance because of his track record.
I've always been ready. I've always been trying to get him into the ring. But it's a perfect next step for me.
But we can't rule KSI out either. He's on a roll right now. Maybe he can shut Garcia up once and for all. Guess we'll have to wait to find out. Nonetheless, this fight's gonna be an exciting one.
I'm telling you, I may not speak Spanish, but I got the Mexican blood in me, and that's all that matters.
That's all from my side. This was all that has been happening around KSI versus Logan Paul. See you in the next one.